What's up, guys? This is Brian Fitzpatrick, and I'm making my new student dialogue video log on a video about single-sided stories and dialogue versus debate and discussion. Okay, a single-sided story is when you hear one side of a story and pretty much just assume it's true, kind of like rushing to a conclusion or making a judgment, even though you don't really know what's going on. For example, you probably see me dressed all up like a thug, and you probably think that I'm a tool, and I'm not. I would never really dress like this, but from the start of my video, that's probably just how you assume that I'm gonna be like, and that would be a one-sided story where you just see me and you assume I'm like everyone that goes with a popped collar and wears lots of bling and flat bill hats, but that's just not me. And that's what this video I saw about was, which is Chimamanda, and she was from Africa, and she was talking about how someone sees someone from Africa and just assumes that, they're probably illiterate and lived a very difficult life and were maybe even from a tribe, but she's actually not like that at all. She was literate. She was an author and wrote books. She worked for, she had these books published. She was a very famous, intelligent, well-known author in Africa, and people just assumed that that would never happen. But she also talked about not only being the victim of a one-sided story, but kind of doing the one-sided story thing herself too, where she'll hear about someone, and just from what she hears about them, she completely assumes that's what they're like. And I'm here to talk about how you shouldn't do that, and that's not something you would want to do. There's always two sides to something. Just from what you know, you don't know everything there is to know about it. I hope that makes sense to you. It's kind of cliche to say this, but don't judge a book by its cover. I know that sounds cliche, but don't do that. Don't make assumptions that just how you see something is how it is. Like most people, Chimamanda talked about this in her 18-minute story in this video. But whenever she hears about Mexicans, she just thinks about like illegal immigrants coming into America and stealing people's jobs. But that's not it at all. That might happen sometimes, but you can't just base all Mexicans like that. At Clemson, I've been doing the same thing. I might see someone and think I know them, and then get to know them, and I really had no clue what they were like at all. And people have done the same thing to me. They see me, they hear I'm from the South, and think that maybe I drive tractors and listen to country music and drink sweet tea. But I don't really do any of that. Just because I'm from the South doesn't mean I do that. And you really need to not have one-sided stories. I've got a friend from California that lives right down the hall named Chad. Hey, Chad. He is from California, so I just assume that, he surfs all the time, says cowabunga, skis a lot, it's really tan. He doesn't do any of that. He's a really smart kid, plays baseball. Nothing that you would jump to a conclusion about from California. So yeah, and also I read an article discussing the difference between debate, discussion, and dialogue. Dialogue, I would say, out of the three types, is the most efficient way of communicating, because in a debate, it's kind of a competition where you're trying to beat the other person and prove to them that your story is right and that you know the facts and they don't. And sometimes you'll even be attacking them as a person instead of just their information. And that's not something you really want to do if you're just trying to get some information. So dialogue, you wouldn't be competing, you'd just be listening to them and open-mindedly finding out if you believe that and how that would work, or how maybe it wouldn't work, and what's right or wrong. And sometimes there's not even necessarily right or wrong answers like there is when you debate, because when you debate, it's just understood that one side is right and one side is wrong. In a dialogue, that's just not true. Dialogue would be better because you're not competing with anyone, so it's closer to real life. In real life, I'm not going to be in a conversation. I'm not going to try to beat you in the conversation. I'm just going to listen to what you're saying and kind of go off that and add what I have to say, but I'm not going to try to prove you wrong or tear you down. And you just make more positive connections in relationships like this. One of the questions I was asked is, do you see dialogue as a useful tool in your university experience? My answer to that is definitely. It enlightens me, it clarifies me, it educates me, and I really learn a lot more from that than I would from debate or just plain old discussion. I would say dialogue is the best way of communication and even education. If I'd only learned from my teachers with debates, I wouldn't really learn anything. I'd have such low self-esteem from being torn down by professors all the time. But fortunately, they do sometimes discussions and dialogue, and I've learned a lot from Clemson that way. And I've also learned from watching this video to not make assumptions, and that a lot of the times when I do, they end up being misconceptions, things that aren't true. I need to broaden my horizons, know the people I'm talking about. If it's a category of people, like know that Africans aren't just people that live in huts and hunt lions all the time, and there are people that are, there's publishers there and people that write books and lots of intelligent, fully functioning people, just like in America. And I've really got to just understand where people are coming from, and that I don't know them even when I think I do, and always look for the other side of the story. So, I really learned a lot from watching this video and learning about debate and discussion and dialogue, and I hope you enjoyed this vlog as much as I did making it. Thanks.